More than 1,200 are dead following monsoon rains across South Asia. It's halted train services and airports are closed. That is the story across parts of Nepal, India, and Bangladesh. In India's financial capital of Mumbai, a 5-story apartment building collapsed. More than 20 are known dead. Others could be buried in the rubble. Floodwaters may have undermined the building's foundation. CGTN's Roee Ruttenberg's following developments for us from our newsroom. He joins us now.
Mike, thousands of these buildings in Mumbai are at least 100 years old, and it appears that this was one of them. The foundations are often weakened during the monsoon season, which runs June through September. Now, this particular building, as you mentioned, had 5 floors. About 50 people were living inside, mostly on the ground and first floors, perhaps an indication they knew that the rest of the building simply wasn't very stable. The first floor also housed a children's nursery, but the building collapsed hours before any of the children were due to arrive. Now, overnight, rescuers have been sifting through the rubble looking for more survivors. Remember, the heavy rains in Mumbai lasted for only about 24 hours. They pounded other parts of the country for days. In India, the worst has now passed, with much of the storm on Thursday moving to nearby Pakistan. These are some of the latest images from that country coming in. In Karachi, 97 millimeters of rain have been reported. At least 8 people are said to have been killed, most either electrocuted or crushed by collapsed walls. At least 1 child killed that way. Rains in parts of Sindh province are expected to continue for the next few days, and schools there have been closed as a precaution. And Mike, we should also note that heavy rains have wreaked havoc in parts of Bangladesh, with 1/3 of the country said to be underwater, and in Nepal, where 150 people have already died this season alone. The UN calling the flooding there the worst in over a decade. Mike?
And Roee, it's tough to look at these images that you just showed us, these pictures, of course, reminding us of the flooding we saw back in 2005. So what's been done to prepare for this since that time?
That's the question that many people there are asking. These storms come every year. Millions again have been left homeless. Everybody knew that these floods were coming, but some of these areas that are affected are very impoverished. Whatever infrastructure that's in place is often lacking. India's been talking about building 100 new, quote, smart cities, but that really doesn't address its corroding metropolises. In small areas, in many areas, I should say, overcrowding and unchecked building activity means there's simply no place for the water to go. Small steps have been taken, enforcing building guidelines and better monitoring of the environmental effect that any construction, be it dams or roads, would cause. I remember, though, speaking with a Bangladeshi minister back in 2011 at a UN conference for least developed countries being held in Istanbul, and he told me unless global issues like economic inequality and climate change are properly addressed on the world stage, countries like his would continue to suffer, and he warned would even suffer worse.